And with the president's decision to step down, many leaders on both sides of the aisle here in Connecticut are giving their thoughts. News 8 political contributor Mike Cerulli joins us with reaction to the president's withdrawal from the race. Mike.
Hey, good evening, Jane. After President Biden announced his historic decision to suspend his re-election campaign, top Connecticut Democrats have been applauding his public service, and many are throwing their support behind the vice president.
President Biden has been one of the greatest, most courageous, and consequential presidents of American history.
Universal praise from Connecticut Democrats for Joe Biden, and with that universal praise for the president, near universal agreement that the Vice President Kamala Harris should be the Democratic Party's new nominee. Senator Chris Murphy and Representatives Rosa DeLauro, Joe Courtney, and Johanna Hayes endorsed Harris Sunday evening.
We know how effective she is. Joe Biden's success has been Kamala Harris's success.
Senator Richard Blumenthal also signaled support.
He's at the very top of my list. I'm not going to do a formal endorsement at this moment, but I think you can tell where I'm going.
The Democratic praise for Biden and shows of support for Harris stands in stark contrast to the words of Connecticut Republicans. State House Republican leader Vin Candelora writing, President Biden has been forced from the 2024 presidential election by the same insiders and career politicos who propped him up and lied to the electorate about his fitness for office. The state Senate Republican leader sent well wishes to the president, but said he's focused further down the ballot on kitchen table issues.
The Democrats nationally are going to make a determination of who their national ticket's going to be, but we're going to be focused on what we can do for our constituents in Hartford.
As for what happens next, Democrats will officially choose their new nominees at the Democratic National Convention next month in Chicago. Connecticut will be sending 60 pledged delegates and 14 so-called superdelegates. Together, they'll help determine who squares off with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in November.
I think what you'll see is a huge majority of the delegates enthusiastically supporting Kamala Harris.
So a really unprecedented 30 days in American politics. First, that infamous debate, then the attempted assassination on former President Trump, and now the sitting president stepping aside. And of course, we will continue to follow the race for the White House as we approach the Democratic National Convention and the November election. Live in the control room tonight, I'm Mike Cerulli, News 8.
Mike, thank you. Connecticut leaders and members of the president's party are reacting to his decision to step aside. Governor Ned Lamont says in part, quote, under President Biden's leadership, our economy is stronger. Our long neglected infrastructure is being rebuilt. More people are working than ever before, and millions more have access to health care, all of which makes an enormous difference here in Connecticut. Congressman Jim Himes was among the first Democrats to publicly call for Biden to step aside. He says President Biden has a remarkable legacy. Putting our nation before his personal interests has now secured that legacy to the ages. Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro says, quote, President Biden has made a courageous decision for the good of the country. He leaves a rich legacy that Democrats will defend in this upcoming election. And Congresswoman Johanna Hayes says history will remember Joe Biden for his selfless patriotism and leadership. With that, there is no one better to continue Joe Biden's legacy than Vice President Harris.